Ladies and gentlemen, Brianne Gagg from Buck.
Hi. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Just to start, thank you guys for having me here, and thank you for coming. Hello. Can you hear me? We're good. Okay. You can't hear me awkwardly breathing, hopefully. Yeah, hi online. Hi, Mom and Dad. Hi, Buck Crew, if you're watching right now. So, who am I? I'm a 3D designer currently at Buck. I actually started as a 2D animation intern, and I love 3D, so it was a little bit of a tough time for me. But the 2D animation team there is amazing, and I'm kind of sad I jumped ship to the design team, but that's okay. If you don't know Buck, they're an award-winning company, just absolutely amazing, talented people that I work with every day. I feel like I owe it to them just how much I've progressed over the past year, because everyone's so helpful and amazing. It's just a great environment to work. Here's one of my favorite ones.
Go shorty, it's your birthday. We gon' party like this.
They get pretty wild there. And so some of the stuff that I do, and like I mentioned before, I work on a lot of butt stuff with my friend Casey. I promise you it's not as weird as you think. So this is like an ongoing collab that we've done. We have some more. Got this guy right here for Valentine's Day. Yeah, so that's some of my stuff, but I also do a lot of design, and I also animate too. So this is some of the work that I've worked on actually at Buck for Oculus. A lot of character designing and recently character animation as well. But yeah, just started diving into it, and I actually just started learning rigging this year too, so that's what my talk's going to be about. And it kind of started with this character right here, and I was making this cassette tape, and I was like, oh my god, it looks so cute. Like, it kind of looks like a mouth, and you can kind of see it like how cute is that, you know? Just slap some arms and legs on him, and, you know, you can end up just making him dance. So this is what I came up with, and, you know, my stuff's kind of out there, I guess, so sorry for the language. But getting started, something that's pretty important, actually, if you saw Jess's presentation on topology, so very important when you are making a character, because if you're not really making the correct things, it's just going to bend in just weird ways that you don't really want it to do. So, like you see here, you don't want things to pinch, but like say for a knee, like this is bending pretty nice. And this is working too, like it's okay. This is actually how I made my character. I didn't make it in this way, which is probably the better way to make it, but that's okay. So I'm gonna be using an IK rig to show you guys how to do this. And it's really not as scary as you think. I feel like a lot of people think rigging and weighting is like the scariest thing ever, and I'm definitely guilty of that because I only just started learning it. It's pretty simple once you get into it. This is the character that I made. It's this like drunken beer bottle dude. And you can see here, it's like all working, and it's just arms and legs. I feel like full control over moving him like this. His feet work pretty well. You know, it can make him run or whatever, or dance. But yeah, so let's get into it. I'm just gonna hide this guy. Okay. So something pretty important about doing this process when you are modeling is you should probably be modeling with symmetry. just so you're not killing yourself and having to go through and fix things on all sides, and then it messes up your model. But Cinema, if you go into this tag right here and under here, click Symmetry, and you just drag it in, and now I can start moving this, and it moves on both sides. It just makes everything way more helpful. But with that being said, I'm going to start with something that I've already modeled, just to save time for this, because rigging is kind of a tedious process and takes a while sometimes. But first things first, you want to make sure that it has proper subdivisions. Like, this is probably not the best, but it works, and that's what we're going to be using. And making sure that we make this editable before doing anything. So here we are. And let's start making joints. So I clicked the middle mouse button to switch between these different views, or you can just click up here in this little box right here. But this is really helpful. So when we start making the joints, we can see exactly what's going on from all different angles. So the joints aren't all out here, just random places. So I'm going to start on the front view right here, and we're going to go under Character Joint Tool, and now we can start making our joints. So obviously, when you're it's the same thing as your arm. So you're not going to be putting the joints in places like your forearm or your upper arm or whatever. Like, it needs to go in the proper places where your bones would be. Otherwise, it's just going to look silly, obviously. But, so we're going to control click to make the start, actually. There we go. And I'm probably going to put the elbow like right here. And the hand rig about here. And another one like here. And as we can see, it's it already made a preferred angle, which I'm going to talk about too. Preferred angle when you're rigging is when you want the arm to go a certain way. So obviously you don't want your arm to be going backwards, because no one's arm bends backwards. I hope not. That would be kind of crazy. So a preferred angle is this guy right here when we set it a little bit farther back, so we show the computer where the arm needs to be bending. But it doesn't need to be out here at all. It should be around here. And right here. And we'll move this guy about here. And just going and making sure that these are all in the right places. Just, again, making sure that it's totally not off the mesh at all. And actually, one thing I forgot to show you guys, and I'm sure a lot of you know about this, but if you go into Preferences, okay, here we go. Preferences, Files, and Autosave. This has saved my life so many times. You don't want to get into rigging and have your whole model just rigged up, and then all of a sudden something crashes on your computer, and then you just lost like hours worth of work. So please turn autosave on to save your lives. Okay, but anyway, so here's our arm, and we need to start naming these, because we don't want to just have random joints named this, because like it just makes your life 10 times harder. So I just learned this new trick, actually, and it's the naming tool. So all I need to do is start with one word, so this is going to be root. Actually, I'll call this root _ L _ arm01. But with the naming tool for this, so I'm going to name this shoulder, elbow, hand, and then hand, end. If we actually go Shift-C or Control-C, Shift-C, sorry, to find the naming tool right here, we can actually start replacing these without having to go and type this whole entire thing out each and every time. So now, instead, I can go, let's see, prefix is shoulder, So I want this to be BN for binded to mesh. So this is going to be before shoulder, before elbow, and then the suffix is going to be the end of it. So I'm going to put, actually, since this is on the left side, I'll do that. And then the suffix would be 01. And all we have to do is hit replace. Oops, needed to be on the wrong one. So now you see, like, instead of having to go through and naming all of those things just manually, I can just hit this and it now has it named. And I'm just going to name this BE underscore L underscore hand end 01. And I'm putting a BE because this is not going to be binded to the mesh. So when we do bind to the mesh, we're only going to have to click the BNs, and it just makes things a lot easier just by naming them. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the fingers now. It's pretty much the same thing. Let's see. Go back to our joint tool. And I use this right here a lot. It just shows like what you were recently using. I'm going to start with the pinky. So control click. Control click. Okay, there we go. And again, making sure that this is in the right place and not floating out in the middle of nowhere. So now we have this. And I'm not going to go through all the fingers and do them all because I think that would bore you guys half to death. So I have them already saved in here, and I'm just going to show you how to do like the arm and one of the fingers because it's the same for the rest of them, obviously. But now we want to start making controls because we don't want to be going inside here to trying to find everything and then like it just gets really confusing. So what the controls will be doing is making sure that we can just use this control right here to move everything else within the group. And we can even hide the joints at the end too. So you'll have like a really fresh, clean thing to start with. That's pretty easy on the eyes and not confusing. But I actually forgot to name this, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. So pinky 01. And I'm going to do the same thing for this with the naming tool. And instead, for pinky, instead of just saying 01, I'm going to actually replace it with A01 because they're named the same and it's just what we're going to do. Except this one needs to be B01 and C01. Cool. So, okay, back to making the spline controls. I'm going to turn on axis snap, which is already turned on, and we're going to make sure that this is actually snapping to this hand joint right here. So I'll bring it down, and I'm just going to rotate it like that. So now this is going to be our hand control. That's going to control the whole arm. Make it editable. And another thing that I do is use the use of colors in here, which is nice because it makes your rig like easier to tell and animate and see what's going on. And I'm going to change this to blue. Cool. And I'm also going to be making a finger control too. And I'm going to go into the front view. I'm going to click on grid, and I'm also going to check off axis snap and turn on work plane snap. So now I can make a nice finger control, and it's going to look something like that. And another thing, you see there, the axis is all the way over here, so that doesn't make any sense. So a helpful thing that you guys should keep in your layout, which I always make a custom layout for whatever I'm making, just so I don't have to go fishing through all of these things to find it. This center axis 2 is great to find your axis, and you can just customize this by going into Windows, customization, customize commands, and then like center axis 2, and then like just dragging it up here, which is like so helpful. But and toggling on L also toggles the enable access tool. And I'm just going to snap that to the end right here, because this is where it's going to snap to the joint of our fingers. And I'm going to go back into this view, snap this guy right here, but turning off work plane snap and turning back on axis snap again. Snap that guy right there. And again, checking to make sure that it is in the proper place, which it's not. So there we go. And I'm actually going to make this guy larger so we can see it. And I'm going to select all of these and just bring it up like that. So now, starting to have this control here that we can see, which is nice. And I'm also going to rotate it so it's facing in the direction that the joint is going. So turn it like that way. Cool. And again, turning on the color and changing this to blue since it's on the left side. And you can make whatever color you want, whatever you want your rig to look like. It doesn't matter. You don't even have to use these shapes. And of course, naming them too. So for spline controls, we're going to call them SC for spline controls, and then underscore L underscore arm 01. And then the same thing for the pinky, which would be SC underscore L underscore pinky 01. Cool. Next, we obviously want to make this work because right now it is not working. If we move this, nothing really happens. It doesn't do anything. So we need to make an IK. And we're going to start that from the shoulder. You never start them on the roots. You do it from the bones. So if you right-click and go under Character Tags, IK, and then drag in the end of it, which would be the hand right here. And we just drag that into the end, and we're going to add a goal. And what this does is now we can see that this is starting to work. But another thing that I notice is we have no control over our elbow. So if you're doing something, you don't want to just move like this. You want to be able to move your whole entire arm like this. So we need to do a pull vector. And that's like super easy. It's just making another control. So I'm going to make an end side for this. Shrink it down. Put it over here. And so this is going to be in the back of the preferred angle. So I'm just going to like put it somewhere like here. And it doesn't need to be huge either. That looks good. And I'm going to call this SC underscore L underscore elbow 01. And all we need to do now is just go into the IK and plug this into this pull vector right here. And now, we don't even need to hit add pull. Now you can see if I were to move this, the elbow is now rotating up and down, and it gives you just more control over your character. Cool. So one more thing. We obviously need to start making this guy work as well. And make sure you're making these all editable as well. So we need to make this guy be able to move the finger because I don't want to have to move every single individual joint in here. So first, obviously, it's going to be parented under this guy right here. And we're also going to be parenting this to the hand in here. So we can see now when I move the arm, oops, I didn't even set that up yet. The hand goal right here needs to go under the arm because this goal, which we need to name as well, so IK goal underscore L underscore arm 01. Now we can see that this is working as well, and the pinky is attached under there. But now we need to make sure that this is bendable as well. So, okay. It's kind of bendable, right? It works, but now we still have to go into here and move these guys, and that's kind of annoying. So I am actually going to make user data on this, which makes your life just easier because everything is going to be living inside of this pinky control right here. And all you need to do for that is go in attributes under user data, click Manage User Data, and we're just going to add a group and add some data. And this is basically going to be telling this guy right here, this control, to be controlling the guys in here. And I'm just going to call this Pinky Controls. And then I'm going to name this one Mid for the middle one right here. And I'm also going to make another one called the End, because our pinky bends in two places. And I'm going to select both of these, and I'm going to start changing things in here. That's the limit min and limit max. I want to have the animator have complete control over what they are moving. So I'm just going to uncheck those, and I'm also going to change the step from 1% to about like 0.05%, and it just makes it a little bit more granular in being able to move things. Cool, and I'm just going to hit OK. And nothing happens, so you see nothing's happening, and we have these pinky controls, and still nothing's happening when I click on them, but that's okay. That's because we need to make an expression, and don't worry, it's not scary. I know expressions sound like they can be scary, but it's actually like 2 simple clicks. So we're going to go under expressions and set the driver of this, and basically what this is going to be doing is this control right here is going to be driving this control right here, so that we don't have to go inside of here to start moving this. So next we need to make sure which one it is. So it's actually going to be this B right here. So I'm going to click on this, right-click, expressions, and then set driven absolute. So now it's created this expression tag. When I go here into pinky controls, I'm able to move this from this spline right here. Another important thing that I forgot to mention is you need to make sure that you're freezing your controls, freezing your transformations, I'm sorry, because you want to be able to set all of these back to its neutral state, and you don't want to have to go individually like in all of these and hitting like 0, 0, 0 every time, and then that's just going to break the mesh anyway. So all you need to go into is this freeze transformation thing and hit freeze all. And make sure you're doing that for all of them. And you can see it kind of messed it up right here. But okay, so now we got our pinky control working, and we need our end working as well. So set driven, same thing, and then we go into here, and we're going to set this guy also to set absolute. So now in here, this works as well. Cool. Let's see. Another thing that we should be doing, as you can see, if I move this, everything's moving, but I don't have rotation control for the wrist. And that's super simple. All you need to do is go into your hand bone right here and click on your arm control. Go under character, constraints, and put a rotation constraint on it. Oh no, it's breaking. Yeah, but that's okay. But we can see it's working. This is why you need to transform, freeze your transformations. But I'm just going to move on and go to the next thing because I have it all fixed in here. Let's see. Okay, so this is what it should look like without breaking. And the only reason why I was breaking is because I didn't freeze the transformation. So now you know. Okay, so got our pole vector in here. We have our arm that is movable. We have all of our fingers done, and they're all named properly. Basically what I showed you before. We have our finger controls in here that we need to move only from these thumb controls, and like in the middle, the same thing, middle controls moves the middle finger. We got, if we move this whole thing, it moves this, and it's pretty much ready to be binded. So super simple. Like, I don't know, everyone's really scared about rigging, but it's really not that scary, I promise. So for the reason why we're naming everything too, so if I type in BN in here, this is everything that's going to be binded to the mesh. So we're just going to select all of these guys here and click on our mesh. Oops. Click on our mesh, which is right here. And we just need to go under character, commands, and bind. And now we have our mesh that is bound to our rig. And it's probably not going to work right away just because you probably should make sure that all of your weights are done properly. But it looks pretty good right now. But I do want to double check that just to make sure. And I'm just going to double click on this weight tag that we put on from binding it. And we can kind of see that it's like really rough right here. It's not really smoothed out. But that's like a super easy fix. So you can go into character, manager, weight manager. And here you can start clicking through to see like, okay, what exactly is a part of this group right here. So they look pretty good. And most of the time I actually just go into commands and hit smooth a ton of times. And it kind of gets the job done depending on what kind of character movement you want to be doing. If you want something like super straightforward and straight limbs and everything, like you probably should be a little bit more concerned about how your weights are. But I like my characters to be kind of like noodle arms and but yeah, so you see after I did that, moving this, it's gotten smoother in here. The topology didn't get messed up too much like before. And let's see and check the fingers. Same thing. It's kind of weird here, but we can fix that by going into the weight tool again and clicking on a joint, say this guy right here. We probably don't want this all to be moving. So I'm going to go into, it's actually already selected, but you'd go to the weight tool and start painting this out. And we can see we can use add, subtract, smooth, which is great. So I can now smooth this. But that's pretty much how you rig an arm. It's way simpler than I thought it was, but there's a lot of steps to it, and you just need to practice it. But it's super easy. But the leg's a little bit different, and that's what I'm going to move on to next. So okay. So here's our leg. And I'm going to turn off the grid because it's a little annoying sometimes. And I already got some of the joints already in here because it's the same as the elbow, and just to save time for you guys. Here we go. And I'm going to delete some of these because I already have it working, but I'm going to show you like, so 1 second. Oops. Okay, cool. So let's make a joint for this guy and make him be able to move as well. So we're going to go to character, joint tool, and we're going to start doing the same thing with the preferred angles. So control clicking, and I'm going to put the knee joint like right here. And another one right here. And we have to do this first. And okay, prime example why you should always check to make sure things are in the right place, because this guy decided to go all the way out here. And should move that there. Move that there. So okay, now it looks normal. And checking to make sure that's right. Cool. And name this guy as well. So root underscore L underscore Lego 1. And then we can do the same thing for this that we did before. So thigh, knee, and ankle. And then using the naming tool for these guys, I'm just going to do the same thing. Cool. All right. So the next thing is on making the foot roll right here and the toe roll. We can't be connecting this to this root yet, so we need to make sure we're clicked outside of the leg root and start a new root. So I'm going to start with the ball right here. So go back into the joint tool and then control clicking where we want our joint to be, probably right there, and then control clicking up here. And then for the toe, we're going to be doing the same thing and making sure that we're not clicked on this root and starting again. So I'm going to start here, and then I'm going to put another one at the end. And then we can just name these guys as well. So root underscore L underscore ball 01, and then BN, and then BE for joint end. Cool. And then same thing for this guy. Toe 01. And then BE, toe end 01. Okay, cool. And we also need to make this an IK. And we're going to do that the same way as we did the elbow. So we're going to right-click, character tags, IK, and then put the ankle in on the end and add it goal. And again, rename our goal. And now when I move this goal, this leg is moving, but obviously this is not connected yet. And we also want to make sure that we are making spline controls that are visible to see. So I'm going to make the foot control first. I'm going to make a cube, but you can make whatever you want to make. And I'm going to rotate it and snap this using edge snap to the bottom of the foot. And just making sure that it's visible, so I'm going to make it editable and just stretch this guy out this way. And same thing here. So now, just like the arm had a spline control, the leg now has one. I'm going to name this as well. So SC underscore and foot 01. Oops, not 21. And I'm going to be changing the axis of this to the ankle. So I'm going to toggle on that, which is already toggled on right now, which is the L. And I'm going to snap this to, using the axis snap tool, snap it to the ankle joint right here. And checking all views, making sure that it is correctly snapped to the right place. And I'm going to now put these guys all inside of the foot control right here. So now when I move this, oops, except the leg, the goal, sorry. So now when I move this, this is moving with that. And move that in there. Cool. So that works now. And we also need to make 2 more controls, one for the toe and one for the heel. So I'm going to make a rectangle. again and shrink it down. Move it to the front, make it editable, and turn this into a triangle so it points in the direction that the foot is pointing. And I'm going to copy and paste this and move this over here, and I'm going to rotate it. And again, making sure that all of these transformations are frozen. Okay, and it's not shown, so I need to move it down from the top. And snap them right there. Cool. And we also need to change the axis of these, so I'm going to move this guy, which is a toe, and snap that to this right here. And the heel, I'm going to snap to the ankle. And we can start naming these as well, just to stay organized. SC_L_toe01, and then same thing for the next one, which is going to be the heel. Okay, and we also need a ball control. So I'm going to be making a star for this and shrink it down and snap it to the ball right here and rotate it. And I'm going to change the size just to 4. Shrink it down and move it right above where your ball of your foot would be bending. I'm going to call this SC_L_ball01 and changing all of these colors obviously to blue because it's on the left side, just as we did with the arm rig. And we also need to change the axis of this one. So I'm going to parent this one to this guy right here. Cool. So this is all ready to go, and we're ready to start parenting things. But I also forgot the pole vector for the knee, which is the same thing that we did for the elbow. Shrink it down. And rotate it. Make it editable. We'll call this SC_L_knee01. And all we have to do again is just plug this into the pole vector in your IK tag that's on the thigh. And now we have a pole. So now when I move this foot, same thing with the elbow, I can now move this knee from side to side, which just gives you much more variety with your animation. Okay, so now parenting these guys. The heel parents to the foot, the toe parents to the heel, the ball parents to the toe, and then the knee I just keep inside of here so it doesn't get weird when you move it. It kind of moves with it, and you don't lose this pole vector. Let's see. So this is kind of working. We can see the joints are obviously not parented to this, so that's super easy. We just need to parent the toe underneath the toe, the ball underneath the ball, and let's see. Yeah, so now we have it semi-working. We see this works, but this also needs to connect to here. So for that, we need to attach the goal underneath the ball right here. So now, I believe this should be working. Yep, and we see this is actually breaking right here, but this is a super easy fix. All you need to do is go into the IK tag that's on the thigh and switch the stretch to 100%. So now when we bend this, it goes straight down. And obviously your foot doesn't bend like this in real life. Maybe it does. You might have like super flexible feet. I don't. But that's just, you can have more expressive animation that way. And yeah, let's see. So now we have this foot working. Everything's working, yay. The ball's working. So now I can go on my tippy toes. I can go like this. Pretty cool. Another thing we should put in is some user data as well. So on the heel or on the foot control, we go into user data, manage user data. We can add a group in data and call this foot controls. And we can call this one toe bend and ball. And all we have to do for this is the same thing as the elbow. So uncheck these guys and change this to 0.05% and hit OK. Okay, so now we have foot controls in here. And the same thing, we just go into here, expression, set driver, and we want to set the toe bend to this guy right here. And again, freeze your transformations. So I'm going to expressions, set driver, absolute. And now I can bend this from this control right here, which just makes life a lot easier. So you don't have to go through all of these again. And we're just going to do the same thing for the ball. And here we go. And freeze transformations. Make sure you're doing that. And again, finding which one you need to put it on. So we got that, and we got that. And that just makes our life a whole lot easier. So we literally are only using like this guy right here to move the foot. And it's ready to be binded to the mesh now. So it's the same thing as the last one. We're just going to select these guys and find our binded, which is just this. And click on our leg mesh. Oh, actually, this is not set to 0. Freeze transformations. Okay, now it's ready to be binded. And select the leg mesh, and all we have to do is character commands bind. So now it's binded to the mesh. And we can see that this leg is now moving. And it's super easy. Like, honestly, like it looks pretty good right now again. And actually, I heard in R21 they've changed the weighting system a little bit to make it much better, which I'm super excited about. But I'm just going to do the same thing that I did for the other one and just smooth it a bunch of times. And select all of these guys. And just hit apply all a million times. And cool. So now we have this leg. And now I want to start putting it on the character. Move this guy down here just to hide it. Okay, so let's see. Let's bring this guy out. It's weird. Okay, so here's my little character, and here is his arm and his leg that I did. And we want to mirror it to the other side. And Cinema has this really nice tool called the mirror tool. So all I need to do now is click on this leg, select it, and go under character, let's see, mirror tool, and I'm going to replace everything with an underscore L underscore. And this is why we name everything, because it makes your life easier. So, and I'm going to replace that with an R for the right side, and all I'm going to click is mirror. So now I have 2 of these, and I didn't have to go through and do the whole thing again for the other side, so it just saves a lot of time. And if you go into here, you see everything now is with an R. And I'm also going to change all of these colors instead of blue to red. So I'm going to select this and type in for my spline controls. I'm going to select all of these, go in here, and just change the color to red. So now I have 2 legs, and just going to do the same thing with the arm, same exact thing. Let's see. Left arm, going to select it and go to character, mirror tool, and same thing, make sure it's replacing this and mirror. So now we have this guy too, right here. And I'm going to select this and change this to red as well. So SC. Change these guys to red, and we're all good. Okay. But now, like, if I were to move the body, like, nothing else moves with it. So we want to start making our hip controls for this. But first, I'm actually going to make a global control. So I'm going to make a rectangle for this as well, and rotate it, bring it down to like here, and make it about the size of that. Again, doesn't matter what shape you're doing. Cool. And I'm going to name this SC_L_global. And I'm going to change the color of this to orange, but you can do whatever color you want. Again, it's just for clarity. Cool. And we need to make the hip control too. So bringing this up to where the hip would be, which is like here, right between the thighs. And I'm going to snap to that and just make it larger so we can see it. Maybe bring it out like right here. Like that. And because I just moved it, it just messed up the axis, so I'm going to make sure I'm snapping back to the center of that. Oops. Like right here. Yay. We're almost done. And I'm just going to name that Hippo 1. So now we have this, and it's obviously not working again. So we need to start parenting things. So this is all going to go into the global control. We have the hip control in here. And we have our bottle, which needs to go under the hip because this is going to be moving his body. And inside of our bottle, inside here, we need to move the bones and legs of our guy into here. So now, moving this, he is bending his legs. And we don't have to bend that manually. And we can rotate him, and we can see that his arms are not attached, so obviously we need to do that too. I'm going to move this out of this null as well. And the arms need to go into the bottle as well. Or no, sorry, here. So now, when I move this, Okay, there we go. It needs to be parented under the global. And that's really my talk. I just wanted to show that rigging is really not as hard as it seems. You just need to do it a million times. There's obviously going to be mistakes made. I made quite a few mistakes, but rigging is pretty hard, but it's also pretty easy once you understand it and take some notes and just refer back to your notes when you're doing it, because there's like naming conventions and like which parents to what thing, and it just, with practice, it gets like really easy, and it's super fun now too because you can bring anything to life. So thank you guys. You can follow me on all these places if you want to, or email me if you have any questions, or go to my website. But yeah, thank you guys so much.